Hey, it's Caitlin and Adam. To be our next guest on Enta Asks, click the link below. Enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome to another episode of Enta Asks. I'm Caitlin Bullock.
And I'm Adam Colazetti. And today we are so excited to have Kashan Awais with us, who is the president and CEO of Naburva. Welcome, Kashan.
Thank you.
And if you didn't catch it, last episode, Kashan told us all about his new Black Belt Six Sigma course, which really focuses on practical application and is super awesome. So do check that out. But today, we have a real treat in store for you. Today, we are talking about some real life examples of some of the successes that Kashan has had and the types of clients that he's worked with. So looking forward to hearing about that.
Sure, my pleasure.
So tell us, what is your favorite transformation that you've seen in your career with a client based on this Lean Six Sigma and your knowledge that you've brought to the table?
Oh yeah, definitely. Talking about a project that related to Lean Six Sigma process in particular. So I was working with this company and we were developing a lean process, like a process which would eliminate waste from like the different steps in the process. And like we were talking about the underlying causes and that kind of stuff before. When I looked into the problem was like, the issue was more on the communication side as opposed to the process itself. So it was a big department, and the functions within that department were kind of siloed. There was a lack of communication between the different functions, and many steps in the process were such that they were there because everybody was following them, but nobody really communicated with the other function whether they really needed that output from that process or if they didn't. So a lot of that waste were eliminated just because we were able to bring those functions into the process onto the table and discuss their requirements, their needs from that process. Okay?
Right.
And I mean that's a huge that's a big example of how like lean works in relation to the other pieces like stakeholder management and communication.
So you walked into this company and they hired you to fix the process. But what you fixed is you broke down siloed walls, which happens so much for companies. And so this client, what was the transformation? Like, what was the end result?
So before we started looking at the process, there was an excessive error rate into the process. It was an administrative process, and the error rate was like huge. So
what's huge? Like huge is like 5% error rate, or like huge is?
Well, if it's a relative term. So they were like, I would say 30% of their files were bouncing back because of some kind of. So they were just going back and forth because something was not right in some form or
Godzilla
something.
huge.
That is huge.
Yeah.
That's 1/3 of the time you're redoing something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. I would go crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean that takes so much of your time and effort and energy, plus the frustration that results from, oh my God, we have to deal with that again. So
right.
And it's amazing what happens when you get people in a room and bring out the marker and the whiteboard, right? And you're like, okay, so you start here, and then who does what?
Yeah.
And then it's
and
like,
you question it, right?
Like,
You tear
wait,
it apart.
we do that, or you don't do that? I thought you did that, or whatever. Like,
Exactly.
why don't we do that, right? Yeah.
That's how it turns out when you kind of start to dissect the process and you talk to different stakeholders and their needs and what the real requirement is. That's what happens.
I love it.
You just come up with so many redundant things, so many redundant steps, which are just there because they're there. They don't really
because we've always done it this way for 30 years.
Well,
right?
and I think that's really interesting because sometimes there's a lot of emotion and history tied to a certain way of doing, and even if specific stakeholders are frustrated or whatever, sometimes having that third party like Naburva come in and just offer that expert point of view, now it's a safe way to move forward.
Right.
Without all that baggage.
Because it's not you versus me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Somebody else just highlighting an opportunity, right? I love that.
Yeah.
So you went from 30% sort of big to what at the end?
Oh, it was like at the end of the day when we were done with the process and we did the pilot test. At the end of the pilot test, it was like 5% at most,
right?
And the result, the rest were like, the result of random chances or random errors, right?
Sure, yeah.
So the special causes are out, and there are totally random chances. For example, so the document that was sent to the administrator was not right. So there's nothing the administrator can do about
Right,
it.
yeah.
So that kind of random errors.
Right.
So we were totally able to eliminate the special causes.
25%
Yeah.
improvement.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. So like 25, like in terms of like I said, it's a relative
Yeah,
term.
yeah.
From out of 30, you take out the big chunk,
Yeah.
and the rest is only.
Well, time is money.
Time is
Yeah.
money.
So
But I think the thing that you can't really capture, the intangible side of that, is people were probably less frustrated in their jobs because they weren't redoing stuff. There wasn't this confusion, this back and forth.
mhm.
You can't measure that, but it's a huge impact because we know how much culture is, important in a company. And if you're frustrated, you're not feeling engaged.
That is so correct. I like speaking about the Lean Six Sigma course as well. When we were talking about stakeholder engagement, I've talked about the cultural piece in specific, and the fact that how important it is for any initiative to be successful or any change to be to bear fruit.
Right? So when you look for a company then, how do you do that check to make sure that their culture's ready to have this? Because that's a piece. People have to be ready to embrace it.
It's so important for any business and the consulting agency to work together that there's a right fit. And I'm personally very particular about this right fit philosophy. Like whenever I'm sitting on a discovery meeting with a potential client, I would want to make sure that we are a right fit. And by right fit, we mean that like our cultures are really supportive. The culture within the client organization is really supportive of an initiative, okay? Because at the end of the day, consultant is there to help you out, right? If Naburva is working with a client, we want to be a part of your success. We want to contribute to the well-being of your company. We want to improve your processes. We want to develop your core competencies. We want to enhance your performance and whatnot. So we want to be a partner in your success. If there's a culture in an organization that does not support an initiative like that, if there's punitive culture, if there's lack of communication, if there's a culture of organizational politics, well, that's not a right fit. That's not a right fit for us. That will not be the right fit for any consultant for that matter.
Right. You're not there to sit on their payroll. You're there to actually see a transformation.
Exactly. That's
that.
right. So it's in a culture that is really closed, that does not have open communication, that is punitive, that is ridden with organizational politics, what happens is that people are afraid of bringing up new ideas. They would not come to the management with the new suggestions because if they do, and if the manager doesn't like them, they know that they're going to be punished for that. And if they suggest something and the manager allows them to go ahead, it doesn't work out that well. I was talking about the importance of making mistakes. So if there's a mistake and it backfires, they know that they're going to be
Penalized
for that.
Yeah.
So that nobody is going to work towards that initiative. Nobody is going to be a part of that continuous improvement initiative within that organization. And if a consultant comes from outside, well, of course, the consultant will be there necessarily only to take the blame.
That's exactly what happens. It didn't work.
So-
It's the consultant's
And I
fault.
think that's why, a good consultant and owner company relationship, it always starts with a conversation, right?
That's right.
And those conversations are usually no charge, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
let's get to know you, let's understand your problem. Can I help? Because ultimately, like you said, consultants are here to help. So if somebody does want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, so if you want to reach out to us and share your problem with us, just write to us at info@naburva.com. Describe the challenge that you're facing in detail, as much detail as you like. If you have something to share, like any causes that you think are contributing to the problem, we will be glad to discuss that with you. We will be happy to help you out if this is something that lies within our area of expertise. And we'll love to be of any help.
That's great. Thanks so much for being on our show, Kashan. We've really enjoyed having you here.
It was really a pleasure being here with you, and Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to entrepreneurs and small businesses.
Great.
Thanks, Kashan. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Remember, if you know somebody that might want to be on ENTA Asks, just click the link below.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.